Well, Mark, here we are for another question and answer session. Well, the plans are all out there. What are the vibes you're getting back?
On the whole, generally, I would say from the direct feedback I'm getting have all been positive. You know, walking around on a match day after the Tony Goodall fans conference and the people that were there, all very, very positive. Online, generally positive, but I'm assuming there's going to be some questions related to the Milton End that hopefully I can answer and make it a lot clearer to the difficulties that we've had with that particular stand.
Okay, well, let's start with the underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Why has the mound not been dug out in those plans, and why is the roof not cantilevered?
There's two questions, good questions there that I think from what I've seen online seem to be the underlying answers that people are looking for in regards of it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be generally they like the look of it, they like the feel of it, but the questions relating to the mound and the cantilevered roof, I know from correspondence we've had, they seem to be the big two questions. So I'll answer the mound first. We did extensive testing, borehole testing of the mound that the Milton End currently sits on. That's thrown up specialists, various specialists have advised us that there is the potential that the ground under there is contaminated. Now, contaminated in its current state, you know, with the foundations and being untouched doesn't create any issues. You can go over it without any problems, no health issues whatsoever. It only becomes an issue if you start to disturb it. So if we started to take that away and disturb it, and it is proven to be contaminated, and the specialists at the moment said the evidence is inconclusive, then the cost of doing that will make the impact of this phase one of what we're looking for with the overall development totally financially unviable, and it would just cost so much money just to clear that mound that for 3,200 fans in the existing cost added to that as well would just make it completely financially unviable and makes no common sense for any gain that you make. So in regards of the mound, as you call it, the Milton End currently sits on, there's no real value in taking that away, only potentially a lot of upside cost. So we've taken the decision to utilise what is already there. In regards of the cantilevered stand, I don't know if people are aware of this. Again, we've done extensive testing. At the back of Specs Lane, there runs a 33,000 kilowatt mains power cable that requires X amount of feet or meters either side of it that you can't touch because, you know, the electricity travels out, you know, it conducts out slightly. So it has to be safe clearance. Okay, well, a lot more people, of course, are suitably impressed with the plans. So the question then becomes, what is the estimated timescale to complete the Milton End developments, and how likely are they to get the all clear? Yeah, they're very likely to get the all clear. I can't see any big problems there, but in regards of an estimate of the timescales, I just don't want to put any figures on it because, as we've now said, this is very much phase one of further phases of development that we want to make to the stadium, and a lot more complicated than Milton End and costing a lot more money. But by committing to phase one, the Milton End, we're sort of locked in then because, I mean, I don't want to dismiss the cost of the Milton End, but it is many millions. It's just to do that. So we sort of don't want to handcuff ourselves in and lose any bargaining ability that we currently may have with the Highways Agency, local government, national government, Network Rail. So it's very much interlinked with that. Hence, I don't want to put a timescale on it. It's not something that we can go, we are going to start on this particular date, and if we don't, then, you know, we'll be held accountable because this is very much at the moment outside of our control now. To us, by submitting this planning application, we have hit the proverbial tennis ball into their court, and we're waiting to see what comes back. And on the back of that, just to keep everyone updated, we do have some meetings. Michael's over in a few weeks. We've got some high-level meetings with our local politicians, with politicians that represent Portsmouth in Parliament, with the various agencies. We're very much hopeful and looking forward to working with them on, you know, getting some commitments aligned with us, and then, you know, the commitments from us as well. So it's a two-way street this. It's not just us, as we've said along, and there seems to be this misconception that I keep seeing out there that we're asking for money to do the Fratton Park and beyond. It's absolutely not the case. We're not asking anyone for a single penny to do anything that is under our direct control. No. What we are saying is, if we are going to do all this work and put all this investment in and generate extra revenue for the city as a whole as a result, you know, and improve the lives of people in this area, then you have an obligation on your part to do up the rail station, to get the road network coming in more efficiently on a match day. So just to kill that, because I do see it out there all the time, and it does frustrate me where I'm saying we're asking for them to do work, pay for work for us. We're not. We're asking them to pay for work that will benefit the city of Portsmouth and specifically the Fratton area. And I don't think that's unreasonable. And without it, we can't, if let's just say, use the North Stand as an example in the future. Let's just say we decide to do, you know, a lovely hotel complex, conferencing facilities, a tens of millions project. What type of clientele are we going to attract with the station, the road network and the current aesthetics of the Fratton area looking as it is? It's just totally out of sync. And, you know, we want to think big. Michael's been clear from the start, from the Guildhall. We have to be self-sustaining. How can we self-sustain and do well in the Championship and the Premiership? By having the tools to generate huge sums of money. To generate huge sums of money, what's the ace we've got? We've got Fratton Park and potentially expansion out and some big developments there that will benefit the city as a whole, that will give us ongoing revenue that we can fund ourselves in the Championship and beyond. So if people are not seeing that, they're thinking too small. They're thinking that, you know, just throw up a cheap stand, the North Stand, which is the one stand that we've got a great opportunity to do some great things, raise the whole profile of the area, you know, raise a lot of revenue for the club. But if if that capacity goes up, but we're constrained, and it's not just the capacity on a match day I'm talking about, it's about the ability to attract the businesses and the conferences. And I know tomorrow, given certain conditions, we can do deals with some of the major companies to hold pop concerts, you know, in and around the Fratton Park area. However, with the current infrastructure as it is, in regards to the road networks and the trains, they're not willing to invest or partner with us in this development. Right. So we are thinking big, we are thinking long term, we are thinking sustainable, not just cheap hits like, you know, like the phase one. We are looking beyond phase one and beyond, but it has to be done properly from the start.
So to be clear, you are dependent on all these other agencies for your plans to work?
Well, not all of them, but some of them coming to us at least. And we are talking to them, we have been talking with them. But some that share our vision, we're the ones thinking big. We've got this fantastic vision for the future of not just Fratton Park, but Fratton as an area. Now, we know we have shared them, we've shared our thought process with them. We're actually now looking to say, look, if we do this, will you match us? Will you share our ambition? Will you share our enthusiasm, for not just for the city, but for Fratton Park area specifically? And if we get that commitment, then we can start whenever we want. We're ready to go. It's now really for others to join the party in sharing what we want to do.
Okay. Now, the world's still ticking on without ground redevelopment plans and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Life's still normal. Off the field matters still, are there any plans to work alongside Portsmouth City Council to improve the park and ride offerings for home matches? Yeah,
we've had some meetings recently with them, with a much larger group, including Gunwolf Keys and that, where we're looking at different park and ride ventures where it can be shared on, specifically on a Saturday match day. But that is ongoing. It's something that is very much part of when we talk about, you know, improving the rail network and the road infrastructure into Fratton. Park and ride forms a key part of that. And we have had very tentative discussions with a company that, if we don't do it with the council, may be willing to partner with us and potentially Gunwolf Keys as well on a match day.
Okay, and We're still feeling the death of John Jenkins here as part of the Pompey family. John Jenkins MBE, I should say. Perhaps with a statue having part of Fratton Park named after him, or some other thing.
Yeah, so we've spoken about that internally. Michael's over in a couple of weeks, as we've said, and you know, members of the Eisner family, and we are going to be unveiling something at that time. But there is a longer term project that we're currently working on that I can't disclose at the minute because it's not specifically ours, but it could have repercussions for something to commemorate John Jenkins' time at the club.
But it's a fitting tribute. Well,
we're going to be doing a fitting tribute in a couple of weeks. We're committed to that anyway, which will be unveiled when Michael's over. But there is a larger scale potential project that you know could be associated with John Jenkins.
Okay, fine. Okay, we're halfway through January. Can we expect any further strengthening of the squad in the transfer window?
Yes, if the right players do come up. As you know, we've had 3 signings already this term. Steve Seddon's gone straight in. Cameron McGeehan's gone straight in, and consistent with what we said. I mean, Rico is slightly different. We've had our eye on Rico as a prospect for a good year or so now. He's been on our radar. We missed out on him in the summer for one reason or another, but you know we have kept tabs on him, and he's very much a project in the mould of Ronan Curtis, Jamal Lowe, you know, that type of one where, I mean, to be fair to Ronan, he came straight in and hit the ground running, such a precocious talent. Jamal made some appearances off the bench originally, you know, grew into it, and then a year later became a regular first-team player and developed that way. So it's not an exact science, but Rico is very much in that mould, wasn't brought in specifically to go, you are going into that position to replace that person. So far, I think we've done well, you know, good mix of the players coming in. But to get to the question, yes, there's money there if Kenny wants to improve the squad. But it will literally, probably, when I say improve the squad, it will be to improve the starting 11. So I think there's a chain of thought that with the turnaround in the summer, and it took us a while to, you know, 5, 6, 7 games to get going on the back of losing Jamal and losing Matt and the change around that, you know, maybe in previous Januaries, if we changed too much, tried to, you know, brought in good players on paper, but has it changed the dynamic of the squad? So we've got to be wary of that as well. The 2 that have come in seem to be doing well. The club itself, the team itself, we're on an amazing run of form. So you don't want to change too much when you're on that run of form because it can do more harm than good. And if you look at our existing squad, there's already quite a bit of depth there. So, yes, we are looking for players to bring in certain positions. Will we bring them in? Not for the sake of it. They have to be better than what we've got.
So do you feel business might be done this month?
I think it may be done, but I don't want to commit to it. As I said, we've already made 3 signings. You know, a lot of clubs, 3's plenty. And as you got to add, we always said we would learn from previous Januaries. One of the things you might learn from is that maybe that you make too many changes, you know, and the squad seems to just be getting settled. We look like we're getting stronger and stronger every game. So why do you want to rip that up and start again and make too many changes just when it looks like the team is starting to gel together? Again, it's a decision for Kenny at the end of the day. If he comes to us with areas like are ready and we're willing to act.
Quite a few players out of contract at the end of the season. When will you start extending those?
I think if you look at some of the youngsters like Hadji and Bassi and that, you know, like our own products as such, we've been in quite early and you know, got them for the long term now, secured their services, which is great. If you start giving out contracts to one and not the other, it causes disharmony in the changing room. And we are not where we want to be at this moment in time this season. You know, at this moment in time, it's about the team, not the individual. So, you know, we're in constant contact with all the players that are out of contract in regard to their agents and keeping them informed what's going on. And if we had to make a decision, i.e. we're going to lose a player in the summer, and unless we agreed now and it could go to another club. If a gun was put to our head, then we would look at that. But we are not actively at this moment in time looking to extend the deals because of the knock-on effect it will have for the team. But if a deal's there to be done, then we will do it. But
you still feel you hold the cards that way?
Well, I think we do. However you dress it up, we are a top League One club. We're, very, very good payers of salaries in League One, and a bit like Nathan Thompson last year, where he said, he wants to go in the Champ. Those players are not going to sign anyway. No. So if you get to the end of the season and there's a player that, his level is League One and we are still in League One, we're going to be one of the biggest payers out there. So obviously we still control the aces at that point. But it is, to a degree, it's a dangerous game, but it's a dangerous game to start giving players new contracts, get them all comfort, settled, think they're here for another 3 years, and then we lose focus on what we're all here to do, and that's to try and get promotion into the Championship this year. We need them focused on that. But as I say, we would be, and will be pragmatic along the way. But and the other thing on that, a lot of the players that are, in inverted commas, out of contract in the summer, if you actually read, between the lines, their contract ends in the summer, but we do have option years on them as well. So the power is with us. Right,
okay. Right, changing tack. Decision process behind charging £24 a ticket for the upcoming FA Cup match against Barnsley.
Well, the decision process is consistency. That last year we played QPR, Championship team, in the same round, I believe, and charged normal matchday league pricing. We didn't change up. If we got Leeds if we get through and we got Leeds in the next round, we wouldn't go, oh, it's Leeds, we're going to charge double. So we've got to be consistent with the league and historically how we have done it. And whether it's Barnsley, QPR, Leeds, or Nottingham Forest, whoever the Derby, whoever the team might be, in the FA Cup, in the fourth round, playing a team in the Championship, the consistent thing for us is that we deem that to be a League One typical fixture in regards of the pricing.
What was the process of appointing Roberto Gagliardi? And perhaps you might have to explain to quite a few who he is.
Well, I don't like to discuss individuals who work at the club because they're employees of the club, but Roberto specifically is a scout in our scouting network that, forms part of our recruitment team that ultimately is headed by Phil Baldman and the person that makes the final decision on player signing, Kenny Jackett. So he's a scout, as in common with any other employee at the club. He went through a recruitment process. That's it.
Okay. Why do food and drink stocks keep depleting around certain parts of the stadium on a match day? And I've seen this over years. Why does it keep happening? I
would like people to be, if they could, and don't think you're being negative or criticising the club, what I would like is, we need to get maybe an email. Can we sort this out actually on the back after this? Yeah. So if we will set up an email address on the back of this question, and we need some specifics. Because as you know, it's outsourced. Our matchday catering is outsourced now, and I would like to know as a chief exec in what specific areas are we running out of food, and what food or drink are we running out of, so that we can hold our catering partner to account. Because that is a very broad-based question, but we are going to set up an email address, on the back of that we'll get out in the next few days to be more specific so that we can hold them to account.
Okay. Is there any possibility, looking ahead, of a friendly abroad next season?
Well, there's always the possibility. Kenny's already discussing with us where he thinks the team should go for pre-season. So there's always that possibility. But Kenny is very much likes to go to similar weather climates to the UK, which narrows it down.
To the UK?
Yeah, well, Ireland obviously is not part of the UK, but very much, on the radar again, as in common, to be fair, with a lot of other teams. And I've worked with managers where you go away to a very, very hot climate, but they're sat in their air-conditioned room all day, and you can't train. and then they go out at night, and there's a lot of temptation to go out drinking. So it depends what you want. If you want a bonding session, new manager coming in, that type of thing, then go to southern Spain or one of a host of other places that you can go, and you've got Portugal's another one. But it is very hot. Your quality of training isn't always as great as it would be in Ireland, where it is a proper pre-season. It's training in the morning, training in the afternoon, working on structures for the coming season. And then we like to put in a game as well. But the answer to the question is, when you say abroad, do you class Ireland as abroad? I don't know, really. Was that the question?
I would imagine not.
No, I would imagine not as well. But it is something that we're open to if an opportunity came up. But we have a very congested pre-season fixture list anyway, trying to look after Havant and trying to look after Bognor and all our local clubs and clubs that maybe we've done transfers with during with the year, as part of the deal is, we will hold a friendly with you. So it's very difficult to accommodate everyone. But it's something that I wouldn't discount.
Okay. When will the boards with the names of former shareholders be put back up?
So just so everyone's clear, because we do get a lot of inquiries about that, it's the PST that are organising that. Eric Colborne specifically, I'm not throwing Eric under a bus, by the way. No, Eric has been absolutely great. He has taken control of that, as these were specifically PST boards. They've retained control of potentially new boards, how they want them to look. But as a club, we just facilitate where they want them to go and what they want us to do in looking after them. But as you know, the boards that went up, I think when we had the severe winds a year or two ago, a couple of them got blown down, damaged, and the PST are aware and they are dealing with it. And
there are also some names that need to be added to those original boards as well.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. But that is not a club item. I'm not passing the ball over to the PST, but it's something they have taken control of and want to take control of.
But to make clear, nobody's being forgotten.
Nobody's being forgotten, no.
So it's a busy time for you.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying it?
Better than I did a few months ago. I think we're going in the right direction. I think if I, as a chief executive, look at the overall picture of where we are and all the key points of the business side of the business, can continue to grow. We've got plans out there now for a stadium. I'm confident. I think we can get the support required to really kickstart what we want to do at Fratton Park. And it is going to be a long-term strategy. Michael's very clear how we do things are always going to be methodical and with the long-term view in mind. So it's no point in starting anything if the intention ultimately is not to be here for the long term. On the pitch, obviously a great turnaround in our fortunes. I think the squad is looking stronger. The club remains debt-free, which is amazing. The money that Michael is putting in, and again, I keep going on about substantial millions just to keep the club functioning in keeping Fratton Park going, and the work going into even to producing the Milton End and the work that we're doing in the wider Fratton area is costing quite substantial sums of money. And there's things that there's things that go on behind the scenes here. For example, in the summer, we moved an electricity substation off the southeast corner that was owned by Southern Electric, at our cost, in preparation for doing the Milton End, the taking down of the floodlights and a new floodlight system. There's been a lot of background preparation being done. There's the health and safety issues that continue to be, an issue at Fratton Park and always will be. If you buy an old Jag or whatever from the 1950s, 60s, you can do it up, great. But it's still an old Jag from the 1950s, 60s that, the miles per gallon was never that great in those days. They were forever going wrong. They required constant servicing. So whatever we do here is always going to be an issue. But, we're committed to staying here. It's where we want to be. But as I say, we just need that bit of help to help us on our way. And then I think it will be great news, not just for Fratton, but for the city as a whole with the plans that we've got. And as I go back to that, people have to buy into this larger scale vision that we've got that will enable us to compete through the money we generate business-wise in the Championship and beyond. That's the key. And you can only get to that vision and the scale of that by getting the support of the infrastructure around it. So this is our first choice. This is where we want to be. But we now need that support from those exterior bodies.
It's a great way to leave it.
Thank you, Johnny. Cheers. Thank you.